Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Yakov, and today I'm going to show you a few useful tricks slash tips on how to use Notepad during your CCIE Lab Exam. During this video I'm going to walk you through a set of small lab tasks that I created for this recording and show you how you can use Notepad to make your life easier, especially when you have many routers with a similar configuration that needs to be applied to them. As you probably know, or maybe don't know, a Notepad is one of the tools that is going to be available to you during the actual lab. And also you may find some of the command aliases that I'm using during this example or guide pretty useful. And I actually wish somebody would show me how to do this when I just started preparing for my CCIE lab. So let's begin. First, topology. We have topology of two customer sites, customer site B and customer site A. We have Mpls core. We have our naming described here, like for example, loopback will have this format in here, loopback will have this format in here, this one, and as numbers. Let's begin with the task. So task number 1, configure Ibgp connection between all Mpls core routers for VPN v4 address family. Use router 1 and router 2 as router reflectors. Do not use IPv4 address family and use loopback 0 as router ID. Okay, let's see. Probably we're going to start with router 1. So personally I prefer to do almost everything in the Notepad. One of the reasons is because some routers responding to the commands that you're entering not as fast as we would want them to, it might be easier and more useful even in the real life to use Notepad for configuration. So as number is going to be 1 on all Mpls core routers. Bgp router ID is going to be 10.1.1 for router 1. We need to disable IP for address family. Now Bgp default IPv4 and let's actually configure our neighbors. So we're going to have 4 router reflector clients, router 3, 4, 5, and 6. Neighbor 10.3.3.3 remote AS1. This one is going to be 444, 555, and 666. Now, in order for Mpls core to work, we need to establish BGP connection between loopback interfaces. So we need to specify not only the target IP address, but the source from which we're going to be establishing the session. One of the easiest way to do this is just to substitute the remote AS with the update source comment in here. Next, we need to enable actually VPN v4 address family. And activate our neighbors. To do this, we'll simply substitute update source with the activate statement. Okay, and as all these routers are going to be router reflector clients, we'll need to specify that they actually are. So seems like that's it. Okay, let's apply our config to the first router. In order to apply similar configuration to router 2, we don't need to do anything but just to change the router ID to a different number. Okay, now let's go to the route reflector clients. So this is first. No. Okay, we need to specify only two route reflector BGP routers, and those are going to be 1.1 and 222. And once again, this one is going to be our router ID for router 3. Oops, sorry, I forgot to do this. Now, the same configuration is going to be applied for router 4. Same one for router 5. And router 6. Okay. We have connection established to all our router reflector clients. Let's check from this second router reflector. It's ready. So first task is done. Now let's switch to task number 2. Make sure CE routers can communicate between their loopback interfaces and use BGP as PE to CE routing protocol, and CE routers should load balance their traffic between provider edge routers. Okay. First, let's configure provider edge routers. Those are going to be router 3, 4, 5, and 6. What do we need to do this here? We need to specify... Actually, do we have a VRF? Okay, we have VRF A on router 3. We have VRF A on router 4. Okay, VRF B on router 5, and VRF B on router 6. By the way, please mention that we don't have route targets defined in here. So actually, we might start with configuring route targets to actually export and import our prefixes from the customer edge routers. So this is for VRF B, and for VRF A, it's going to be like this. Okay, we have route targets configured, and now let's actually configure this Bgp session. Here, address family is going to be IP4 VRF A for router 3 and 4, and we need to define our neighbor. Okay, let's see. So this is going to be the interface that we will connect to the router 7 through, and neighbor, just the IP address is going to be 7, remote AS2. Okay, another thing that we would also need to do here, as we have the same AS number on both sides, during the when router 7 will be processing routes from router 8, it will see its own AS path AS number in AS path and won't be able to install those routes, so we would need to override them somehow. So there are two options. First is to specify that we want to allow our own local AS in. It can be done from the customer edge router, or as it's actually usually being done, we can specify AS override feature on the provider edge routers. Okay, so I suppose it's going to be similar for router 4. Okay, for router 5 we have URFB. Yes, this one. And this one. And I suppose that for router 6 the only difference is going to be this number. Okay, done. Next step is to configure our customer edge routers. So what we would need to do is first BGPS number is going to be a number 2. Neighbors for the router 7, it's gonna be first this one, and for the second provider edge it's gonna be this one and this one. And also we would need to specify, according to the task, we need to enable load balance between the provider edge routers, so we would need to enable multipathing. Okay, at least 2. Okay, similar configuration for router 8. The difference is going to be 585 and 686. Okay, we have connection established here and here as well. Good. Now let's actually advertise some networks. According to the task, we need to advertise loopback interfaces. So this is going to be a loopback interface in router 8. Oh, and we forgot to specify BGP router ID. So it's going to be the same as loopback. Okay, and on router 7, this one. Okay. Okay. Now, to make things a little faster, we'll advertise, we will clear IP BGP. No, actually, in here we would need to clear BGP VPN4 unicast all and okay, and as well here. Okay. Now So we are advertising but not installing those routes. I suppose there might be something with route targets. Let's check it out. For unicast updates. Debugging. Extended community is not supported. So we have extended communities, we have route reflectors, we have routes, oh, okay, here's the mistake. Oops. Okay, let's first do this in here. Now in router 5, it's going to be VRF B. Oops. Okay, anyway, at this point it should already be working. And we have both routes, and the only thing that we would need to change is okay. So pings 172.18.88 source from loopback 0. Seems like it's working. And similar test from the other. Okay, actually, that's it. I hope this was informative for you, and thank you for watching.